Hello, thanks for joining me on Life and Surround. Today, it is my immense pleasure to discuss for you briefly the new Super Deluxe edition of Close to the Edge by Yes. This is a Rhino Records baby, Steve Woolard, a man who has brought us a, a truckload of really great multi-channel surround immersive audio music to this point. So we have Close to the Edge. This is, a current release. This Super Deluxe Edition is on offer right now. So do you need it? That is one of the main points of this video. Do you need it? Particularly if you already have the 2013 Panegyric, that was basically a box set on a Blu-ray, with a CD as well. So this guy, if you already have the 2013, do you need the 2025? So we're going to compare these editions, and especially I'm going to discuss the new Atmos mix, the Steven Wilson Atmos mix. Is it so good that you need it? Do you need to upgrade from 5.1? Let's see. And how does the new 5.1 compare to the 2013? You know, how much did Steven Wilson improve his work over, more than a decade? So let's get to it. All right. So for those who are unfamiliar with the 2013, I believe they called this something like the definitive edition. It's a box set on a Blu-ray. It has a CD and a Blu-ray. And, the contents of the Blu-ray are of, paramount importance to me. So we had, a Steven Wilson, a pretty early Steven Wilson 5.1 mix. If I'm kind of tracking, the history of things correctly, that would be pretty early for him. And I did not love the 2013 5.1 mix of Close to the Edge at the time. Pretty sure that if we scroll back on my reviews on Quadraphonic Quad, I had some things to say about, you know, um, Eddie Offord was extremely important to the sound of classic Yes, kind of like Martin Birch with Iron Maiden. So there's a sound, and there's a way that everything gels together. And I feel like with the 2013 5.1 mix, Steven Wilson dismantled things too much, let things fly apart. Vocal harmonies didn't seem as tight as, on the original stereo mix. So, has the 2025 really improved? So I would say this, listening to the Atmos mix, this sounds to me like Close to the Edge exposed. I really get the sense that I am hearing everything on the master tape, and acoustic guitars and vocals, these organic elements, they sound very natural, and the electronics sound great too. Steven Wilson has taken a new mixing approach to the 5.1 and the Atmos. So the 5.1, 2025, and the Atmos feel remarkably similar. You just obviously don't have height activity, with the 5.1, but like where things are panned, positionally, like, you know, around the room, they're very similar. So it could be that he did an Atmos mix and then the 5.1 was just scaled down from that or somehow derived from that. So we have major differences, okay? And I'll give you one example in the final track, Siberian Katru, or however you would say that. Um, when the 2013 5.1 opens up, it's very unbalanced. I actually got up and checked to make sure some of my speakers were still working, because you have like Chris Squire over here and John Anderson back here playing this corner thing, and sometimes there's nothing going on in the other corners. And it's an unbalanced experience until like all the parts are in. And with the 2025 5.1 and Atmos, you get like Bill Bruford up near the front of the room with like mainly the cymbals emanating out into the wings. And you have Chris Squire's bass centered up in front where it ought to be. You have John Anderson's main vocal centered up in front where it ought to be. You have background vocals, kind of all around you and your wings. And Steve Howe exists out in front of you, like in like this cloud of sound, like out in front of Bill Bruford. And then Rick Wakeman is back behind you. And pretty much for the whole album, like Steven Wilson sticks to that style for the new mixes. And in 2013, maybe he was just going for the ultimate separation that he could. Um, I just feel like the panning choices are less balanced and less satisfying. Now, the fidelity has also been improved here. Like this is the first time that I've listened to this album and it struck me. I was like, man, those guitars sound like real, like they're in my room. Very organic and just exactly what I would expect, from hearing like an acoustic guitar or a vocal live. So the organic um, elements here just feel so natural and especially the vocals, sound just so human, so if you are into 5.1 or Atmos, you have a mixing style upgrade here and you have a sonic upgrade. So I'm gonna have to say that if you love this album and you're into multi-channel, you really should consider, this new deluxe set. So let's talk about the goodies that come with both of these sets because that could be important to some. They are remarkably similar, but there are a couple of important differences. Um, both sets have things like radio edits, alternate takes, and I would say that the main difference between the goodies is that the 2013 has the flat transfer of the UK original mix, whereas the 2025 has a 1972 Rainbow Theater performance. And so, do you need the 2013 for the flat transfer? Could be. That could be your ultimate experience. And do you need the 2025 for the Rainbow Show? So, about the Rainbow Show, it needs to be noted that the sound quality is not always fabulous. Sometimes it sounds to me, like a decently recorded live gig. Sometimes it sounds to me like maybe if I had to guess at the lineage of the live show, I would say it's probably a soundboard. Sometimes the crew does a recording of shows just unofficially, so the band can hear it later or whatever. It sounds to me like maybe it's a soundboard that has deteriorated in some places. It has some cuts, so there are, some moments that are missing. I think there's an entire track that's missing, maybe the clap. So, the Rainbow Show, it has some sonic issues. That being said, listening to it, I enjoyed it. And I have like some bootlegs of ultra favorite bands and stuff. So, I have some grace for sound quality not being perfect. So, is the Rainbow Show worth listening to? It sure is, especially since some of the performances are, you know, very unique. I'm fairly familiar with Yes songs, and you're definitely getting, a different animal here. You get some improvisation, excursions, you get just different approaches to the arrangements and to the various members' parts. Um, so I think the Rainbow Show is well worth a listen. It happens to be available on certain streaming formats, but I will note that I checked Apple Music for the Atmos mix to see if this Super Deluxe edition is up on Apple so that I could stream the Atmos to compare it to the Blu-ray, but I actually couldn't find it. So I'm not sure that this has been distributed digitally yet. So as far as I know, the only way to hear the new Steven Wilson Atmos mix is to grab a copy of the Super Deluxe. So it is available from Rhino Records. I am going to leave that link below. It's also available from other sources. Unfortunately, like I went and checked import CDs, which was like the lowest price that I could find in a few minutes, and it's already on back order there. So apparently, people are interested in this set and it's selling. So I want to get this message out to you so that you can have the opportunity to pick it up if you like. Okay, so let's discuss the book. One advantage of the 2025 Super Deluxe version is that you get large format artwork. All right, so let's start with Roger Dean's amazing toposcape here. You could just get lost in this world while you're listening to the record. And you see here, you get lyric page. You get some cool photos. So I'm going to show those off. I actually enjoyed the brief essay. 2 pages, easily digestible, and it gives a history of the rise of Yes from basically the Yes album through Close to the Edge. The onboarding of Rick Wakeman. That the success of Fragile gave them creative freedom for Close to the Edge. And the touring and everything else that was going on honed their skills so they could produce this masterpiece. So anyway, some very, very nice photos, some cool information, a mercifully short essay. I don't have time to read Super Deluxe write-ups when they're like pages and pages and pages. I wish I had that kind of time. Maybe someday. Here's the back of the book. Get the disc contents and the original back panel images. And here are the 5 CDs and the Blu-ray. And if you look real closely, you can see where I stashed my hype sticker. And the Blu-ray comes in a poly liner, which is super nice. And this set also features vinyl. It's tucked back in here. It's also in a poly sleeve. So thanks for that, Rhino. I appreciate it. And now, a few words about the vinyl. So I'm listening to the vinyl now. It sounds very good. From the Close to the Edge Super Deluxe, the black vinyl included. I cleaned it in my record cleaning machine and slapped it right on here. Comes in a like a anti-static sleeve, which is a nice feature. So anyway, the vinyl sounds very nice to me. I don't really hear any noise, so it's cool. All right, so bottom line, do you need this? If you're into 5.1 or Atmos, and you are interested in this record, considered by many to be the pinnacle of prog rock, I'm afraid you do. I'm afraid you do. From the larger format artwork, which has been just extremely well done, to the mixing style upgrade and sound quality upgrade of the Atmos or the new 5.1. The vinyl sounds great. So it definitely, is a far cry, uh, more pleasant listen original than my original LP. So um, this is expensive. It retails at about $100. So it could be well worth, that for this very cool Atmos or 5.1 experience, or some of the other goodies. And the other CDs have, outtakes and singles, America, stuff like that. So uh I really, really have enjoyed digesting this set. I am grateful to Rhino and to Steve Wollard for putting out multi-channel music that I love. This really, really is a cool set. And I understand that some people are not in favor of combining vinyl with optical, like combining vinyl with CDs or Blu-rays, DVDs. I guess some listeners just listen to one or the other, so a lot of people are not in favor of mixing media within a deluxe set. So, and I understand that point of view, but I don't have enough insight into like how the record labels work to understand like why all these decisions are made. So obviously, I would love for a standalone vinyl if people want that, and then like a separate optical package. So anyway, nonetheless, this is how we have been, offered this this remix, and all the other goodies that come with it. So anyway, thanks for watching. I do recommend the set, links below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell if you like what I do. And if you have watched the video this far, I feel comfortable telling you that in a few hours, I go in for a pretty major surgery. So, um, please keep me in your thoughts. I have people praying for me too. So if you're a prayer warrior, go ahead and do that. I appreciate it, and I hope to be back soon, enjoying surround, multi-channel immersive music with all of you. And so until then, I hope that many of you get a chance to enjoy Close to the Edge in Atmos or, in the fresh 5.1 experience or the other goodies in these sets. Some folks may be interested still in the 2013, and mine might be up for sale soon. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate each and every one of you who comment, and I end up hearing, from people on various platforms, Facebook, Quadraphonic Quad. Really enjoy interacting with my surround music loving family. So appreciate all of you, and until next time, live life in surround.